You see that, and the feel this gives is something different. I have heard that some people telling that you can buy an Interceptor, and why should you buy a street twin? I'll tell you, I don't have any hates to any motorcycle. What's up YouTube, welcome back to another video on this channel. So today we have the Triumph Street Twin with me for a detailed review. So I've been using this motorcycle for a few days, and of course you have ridden this motorcycle in the past, like the previous version as well, the 2016 version as well, and really got a chance to experience this motorcycle on streets and highways. So yes, let's get into the topic. So this one is the 2019 version of Triumph Street Twin, which is essentially the latest version that you see in the market. Apart from a few cosmetic changes, there are no power difference or any other difference in terms of ergonomics or riding dynamics, nothing, no other difference. So basically this is the same motorcycle which you see in the market, which is going out from the Triumph fleet. So this is a different breed of motorcycle, the Triumph Bonneville. The Bonneville series itself is a different breed, if you know. So this one is in the 900cc, that's why it is called a street twin. So if it's a 1200cc, it is called a speed twin, which is in fact much faster than the street twin. So basically this is an urban riding motorcycle where you can have a lot of fun inside city, and when it comes to highway you have a decent performance because it's a 2-cylinder, and that's how 2 cylinders perform. 3 or 4 cylinders works better on open roads, but 2 cylinders are more fun to ride inside city and kind of in a moderate traffic condition. So let's look at the styling. In India you might be very familiar with the styling because this is the inspiration for the Royal Enfield Interceptor 650. But there's a day and night difference. We cannot compare the Interceptor 650 with this motorcycle. I've seen many reviews on YouTube comparing the Interceptor and the Street Twin. Honestly I feel no, it shouldn't be done, because I was riding a GT 650 last week, and GT is GT. Royal Enfield is a good motorcycle, no doubt about it, but Street Twin is different. It's all different. It just looks similar, that's all. So let's come back to the looks again. So here there's an halogen light where you can see the Triumph logo inside, a very neat and nice logo there, and there's a small parking lamp there, which is uncommon with many motorcycles nowadays, and an alloy wheels, a decent travel suspension, and you can see that vertical radiator there. And yes, the very famous Bonneville 900 engine. Triumph actually share these engines, their 900 and the 1200, with many other motorcycles, and change the tuning, change the ergonomics, and they truly make a different motorcycle itself out of it. So that's the engine, and a beautiful exhaust. There are not much chrome elements on this motorcycle, as you might have seen in the Interceptor 650. So this one doesn't have any shining edges, and that is the selling point of this motorcycle, because it looks damn premium. You see this Triumph logo and this tag. The fit and finish on this motorcycle is like exceptional. I have no words to say about that. And coming onto the seat, you have a longer seat. I can tell you one thing, if you haven't ridden a Bonnie, most probably you might be thinking that it's you sit and relax riding like a cruiser. It's not a cruiser, man. If you try to sit over here, you might be comfortable in the initial 1 or 2 kilometers, and after that you feel like pushing towards this point and get yourself a little sporty riding feel and just blast off with the engine. The seat is actually really comfortable, and it's really nice and cushioned, and Triumph has given good pillion support as well. Look at the grab rail. It doesn't look odd, even though it is a huge grab rail. The kind of fit and finish that amazes me always, because the material that you see is exceptional. And coming onto the tail section, quite a catchy looking tail light, altogether an absolutely beast. So that's what you see looking around. So I can tell you how does it feel when we get on the motorcycle. So it's not a taller motorcycle. When I swing my legs over, you can see that I have a complete flat foot on both sides. That doesn't happen all the time. So lower seat height motorcycle, because I'm sitting over here. Even if I push back and sit over here, like still I have almost planted foot. So now I'm sitting on the right position here. So if this is my normal riding stance, I have a lean angle, which makes this motorcycle a little sporty, and that's how you ride this motorcycle. And the looks from this angle is also beautiful. I don't know how many times I'll say this, but the quality on this motorcycle is like exceptional. You can see that. You can see on the dial, you can see it on the handlebar. Honestly, I feel the stock mirrors are not doing a great job. So let's look at the switches over here. So here you have the high beam and the low beam and the pass switch. So there is no pass switch, it is just high beam and the low beam, and there is an info button here, indicators, horn, and a mode button. So mode button is basically to toggle between the 2 riding modes this motorcycle has, which is the rain and the road. I can explain it to you when I talk about the engine. And on this side we have the integrated kill switch and the ignition system here, and a caution lamp switch. That's all. Let's turn on the dial. Looks classy. This is the dial that you might have seen in all Bonneville series. I mean, the last Bonneville which I featured on this channel is the Triumph Bonneville Bobbo, which is the 1200cc beast. That's a mad brother of this motorcycle. If you are interested, you can go and check out that video. So classy looking dial, speedometer, and the tachometer is actually digital. So what you see is the odometer, and you press this I button. It's the trip 1, trip 2, distance to empty, time. Yeah, that's the tachometer. It shows RPM. And this is TTC, that means Triumph traction control, which is on. You can turn it off. So it has a switchable traction control, but not a switchable ABS. And just one press of this button, you can switch between ride and the road mode. So I'll switch it back to road again. Yeah, it's in road mode. And yes, there is a gear position indicator as well here. So let's hear the exhaust sound. Beautiful exhaust note. It has that bassy and that thunderish feel which you can expect out of this 270-degree parallel twin. Amazing. So yes, let's go for a ride. Alright, we are back on highway. So we have an empty stretch of highway here. Let's pull it hard. Whoa, you might have noticed that this motorcycle has ample and enough amount of torque, and the torque is actually available at a lower RPM itself. That's the plus point of the Street Twin. You don't have to really go to the red line all the time. The torque is instant. So this motorcycle actually runs on a 5-speed gearbox. Honestly, I feel the 6th gear is not required. Till the 4th gear, it actually shows a lot of enthusiasm when you have a lot of torque. Even in the 5th gear you have that, but 5th gear is more like a saner gear compared to the other 4. So the 5th gear actually helps you in cruising the motorcycle in 120, 140 and all. But all the other gears are like mad if you are actually shifting at the right RPMs. And the way this motorcycle sounds is exceptional. It almost feels like a raging elephant. That bassy exhaust sound that combined with the pull of the motorcycle, you are actually holding on to the handlebar and trying not to flee away. In that manner, I had to say that the engine is exceptional. It's really nice to ride it on street and ride it on highways as well. So let's look at the other things on this motorcycle. So I mentioned that this has a slightly sporty feel and the handlebar is actually short. We are having the foot peg underneath the rider, and that gives a slight sporty feel, which is nice. And this ergonomics is actually good for street use as well as highway use. And coming on to the other things, like let's talk about the brakes. So this version has got the updated brakes from the previous one. So this is a Brembo 4-piston caliper, single disc, but actually doing a really nice job. Yes, the rear brake is also surprisingly very good. Generally, I don't use the rear brake of any motorcycle that much, but on this one, I feel the combined braking of the motorcycle is really nice. And when it comes to the suspension, the front suspension is actually onto a hard side, so it feels a little tighter, and you can feel the bumps on the road and even sometimes the cracks on the road. But the rear suspension on the other side is exactly opposite. It is giving a lot of comfort to the rider and the pillion. Combinedly, again, a decent riding feel. But honestly, I have to say that this motorcycle actually gets one of the worst tires that it can get, because I've seen the same tires on the Interceptor and the GT650 from Royal Enfield, and this tire is not ideal for this kind of a motorcycle. First of all, this is not a radial tire, and the second thing, it is not kind of a round profile tire, but after some speeds and going through these white lines and all, the motorcycle has some stability issue just because of the tire. So if you can put a nice tire on this motorcycle, that will be great. And coming onto the gearbox and the clutch, actually the clutch feel is much lighter. We don't have to put a lot of effort to change gears, and the gear shifting is just precise. Again, Triumph equipment. By the way, this doesn't comes with a quick shifter and all. It's a classic motorcycle, and there are a little bit of ground clearance issues on this motorcycle. You know that these are normal superbike problems, the ground clearance issues, but this one has a little bit of problem, but not an issue. If you are riding alone, that is kind of okay. But if you are riding with a pillion, then yeah, it's slightly a difficult task, because you need to manage the weight properly when you go through taller bumps. Not just taller bumps, a normal bump itself will scrape off the belly pan. So yes, this motorcycle actually comes with a belly pan. That's one good thing. The oil sump is not directly exposed. That is one good part. You see that the torque is immense. So let's look at the ownership things. So this motorcycle is actually coming on road for 10,80,000, and when it comes to the service interval and all, you have to take this motorcycle for the first service in the 1,000 kilometer, and from then on once in 10,000 kilometers. And generally a service will cost you something like 8,000 rupees, which is like the oil change and the oil filter change. If you have to change the air filter as well, it will come to something like 11,000 or 12,000. That's kind of an okayish service cost, because the service is done in 10,000 kilometers. And the fuel economy is something debatable, because it's a 2-cylinder. Not many people will be riding this motorcycle in a saner mode. So if you get something like 18 to 20 on inside city, which is nice, and 20 to 24 on the highway is also nice. And there are people who get more mileage on this. If you're just riding like this on 80s and all, you'll be able to get a good mileage. But generally I tend to ride it in 120 to 140. The only one problem I faced is like this has a puny tank, only 12 liters of fuel. That means I have to stop the motorcycle quite often. The 12 liters is not the problem. The fuel warning comes at 8 liters. That means you have 4 liters of extra fuel, but just 8 liters. Just imagine 8 liters and not even 20 mileage means you get a tank range of 160 kilometer between the full and the warning light. That means it is pretty less, and considering the fact that this can go high speeds, you might end up fueling once in 1.5 or 2 hours, which is actually insane. You don't have to be that frequent. So let's come to the verdict. This is a different kind of motorcycle. A lot of people are interested on this motorcycle. Like, it's an exceptionally brilliant street motorcycle which is much faster, and you have a lot of torque, available and usable torque. That's all. This is in the 5th gear. You see that, and the feel this gives is something different. I have heard that some people telling that you can buy an Interceptor, and why should you buy a Street Twin? I'll tell you, I don't have any hates to any motorcycle. I respect each motorcycle for the engineering which has been put on. I'll tell you something to the people who are telling that you can buy 2 or 3 Interceptors or GT650s replacing one Street Twin. You can mimic a motorcycle, you can have the looks of the motorcycle. That's perfectly fine, and that is understandable as well, because it's up to you whether to modify your motorcycle to look like some other motorcycle. It's your personal feel. But finally, when you sit from this side and start riding a motorcycle, the feel is very different. I was riding the Royal Enfield 650 a week ago. The riding feel is all different. The engineering is different. The kind of comfort that you get, the kind of handling that it has is entirely different. So don't get shy away. If you're on a tight budget, yes, of course you can go for the Interceptor 650. It is good, but just don't demotivate other people who actually comes and look for this motorcycle. So yes, if you are looking for a motorcycle for your city use, and if you actually enjoy that underrated motorcycle feel, that means you park somewhere and not many people will recognize. They'll come to you and ask you, oh, which motorcycle is this and all. Then this is a good motorcycle. And when it comes to highway, again, no bells and whistles. You do your job and you don't care about anyone else. If that is the kind of attitude that you have, the Triumph Street Twin is a great motorcycle for you. And if you are looking for some more sporty and more punchy motorcycle, definitely the Speed Twin is good choice. Let me try to get that motorcycle on this channel. I love that motorcycle. Let me see that. By the way, if you are a single and wanted to go for breakfast rides with a lot of enthusiasm and need to make a lot of road presence inside city, consider the Triumph Bobo. Alright, that's my review on the Triumph Street Twin. I hope this video is helpful for you, and if you have any doubts on the motorcycle, do let me know in the comment section. I've been riding this motorcycle for a little while and have some idea about it. I hope I'll be able to help you out. As always, show some love in the form of likes and comments. See you in the next video. Until then, bye bye.